My name is James Anderson. I'm a veteran. I served active duty in the United States military from December 2008 till May of 2013. The first 2 years of my service was with the 173rd Airborne Brigade, 2nd of the 503rd, Chosen Company, 3rd Platoon. I went to Afghanistan with them from December of 2009 till November of 2010. The last 2 years of my service was spent at Fort Riley, Kansas, which was a horrible, horrible time in the military for me. But that's a story for another day. We're here today to talk about cannabis and why I like it and why it helps me and why it can help you and maybe other people too. As you can imagine, the life of a soldier is very stressful. Lots of stress on your mind, your body, and it's a lifestyle that no one can understand unless they live it for themselves. So it's hard for people to relate to it. And it's even hard for people like myself to talk about it to someone who hasn't lived it because they don't know what I'm going to talk about. It's easier to talk to someone who's been to prison about that kind of stress than it is to talk about a normal person. For me, I experience these fits of hyper-awareness where I become really alert of what's going on around me. I notice everything almost slows down a little bit and I can hear my heartbeat. It's a really insane sensation, and it's something I learned to utilize in the military, but it's not something I necessarily need now. In the immortal words of Rambo, it's never over, whether it's the war or your training or just the general stress and injuries brought on by that stress or your service that you have to live with. Maybe it's the things you did while you were in that you have to live with. For me, I just have to deal with those fits of anxiety. Civilians would call that anxiety attack. I call it situational awareness working at its best. But it's not something I need, and it drives me crazy. And I end up getting pissed off and ashamed and angry that I'm feeling that way. Cannabis is something that actually helps alleviate that. I don't feel those feelings of nervousness. I don't get that anxiety. It's never brought on. And if it's brought on, it's very minimum. And at least I have the frame of mind to take a second and think about what I'm doing, and I can calm myself down. When I learned about Sue Sisley, I got to see her talk on the Senate at the Capitol lawn in Phoenix, and I couldn't believe that here was this doctor. Not only did she actually care, but she'd been at this struggle of hers for longer than I'd served in the military. She'd been trying to conduct research to treat PTSD in veterans with cannabis, basically benign and harmless substance that can't even kill you, but something that can have profound results on the veteran community and stop this horrible statistic of 22 veterans killing themselves every single day. I wrote a letter to ASU on February 23rd, 2015. At that time, according to that statistic, 4,850 veterans would have killed themselves. And during that time, Dr. Sue Sisley was able to get money from the state of Colorado to conduct this research, as well as have someone donate a building for her to conduct the research in, after ASU had given her a rat-infested building that was not up to standard to be able to help our nation's veterans. It's really pathetic if you ask me. Their response in their letter, they told me that Dr. Sue Sisley had basically abandoned them and gone on to chose to do her research independently without them with her sponsor. But she was just trying to get something done after 8.5 months of them dragging their feet with her. She's wanting to study how different strains can possibly help different symptoms that veterans can experience, because we're all different. All our service was different. Every job is different. Every person's different. Every base and every unit is different. But all of them bring stress on your life and mold you. In their response, they also mentioned many symptoms they were going to be basically focusing on and hiring experts in the field and trying new things, this and that. Most of these symptoms they mentioned can be alleviated by cannabis, which again I'll point out does not kill you. So, It just sounds to me like these universities are afraid of the word marijuana, and they're afraid they'll lose their funding because they're afraid of who knows, their investors, who knows. I don't know what they're afraid of. But I wasn't afraid when I had to be over in Afghanistan and do my job. Whether it was to protect the Afghan people, whether it was to secure democracy in America, whether it was to secure my own right as an American to voice my opinion like I am now, doesn't matter. I wasn't afraid to do my job. And it's very pathetic that they're afraid of a plant and afraid of, I don't know, it's a plant and it can help us. So what my goal here is today, guys, is I would like you to look up Dr. Sue Sisley and the research she's been trying to do. I would like you to send emails to ASU, send emails to U of A, send emails to NAU, get involved. If you know a veteran, ask them about their history with marijuana and ask them if they've ever tried it. If they never have, point them in that direction. It might help them. If they have tons of pills, guess what? They might not have to take them anymore after using marijuana. We don't know yet because these people will not let Dr. Sue Sisley do this research. So I'll be reading this letter to the Arizona Board of Regents Public Forum on April 9th at 8 a.m. and I invite you to come with me. I invite you to come watch as I read this letter to them and they film it for their own archives. We've put out a press release too, so we're expecting other news outlets to show up as well. And hopefully we can get this out and hopefully we can spread the awareness. But it's only going to be successful if you come and help me.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is David Wisniewski. I am the co-chairman of Safer Arizona and I'm the founder of Safer Arizona Cannabis Legalization Political Action Committee. I also happen to be a combat veteran who suffers from PTSD and uses medical marijuana to relieve some of the symptoms of PTSD, which include insomnia, depression, a lot of anxiety. And this is one of the reasons why I support wholeheartedly the research that Dr. Sue Sisley is trying to accomplish here in Arizona. As a veteran, I see the medical value of cannabis for PTSD, and I know that others can benefit from that value as well. When I was in the Army, I was a sergeant, I was an E5, and we had these meetings very often about safety in our soldiers. One of the biggest concerns was alcoholism and sexual assaults in the Army. And almost all sexual assault incidences are alcohol related. Almost all of them. They say it over and over and over again. But what's going on here is in the military, they make it so easy to go to your shop bed. It's often attached very close to your living quarters. You just walk there to get the hardest alcohol you could find, go right up to your barracks and get drunk. And they make it such a pain to go off post. You got to put in the pass that it just, people get depressed, they get anxiety, and alcohol is right there. And so what's going on here is we have 22 veterans killing themselves a day, and a lot of them are suffering from PTSD, anxiety, and they're self-medicating with alcohol, which tends to push people into suicidal ideology in some cases. And so I was telling people in the Army, if you really want to take this seriously, if you really want to end the suicides or reduce the suicides, you want to reduce the alcohol-related diseases, you want to reduce the sexual assaults, then you need to end cannabis prohibition in the military. Because so many soldiers use alcohol to medicate, and they use alcohol because they can't use marijuana. And what they use instead is they use the synthetic drug created by the government called Spice, which was only created to make Marinol, which was a synthetic version of THC, which supposedly has no medical properties. Well, you know, you're making soldiers go to the more hard drugs. You're making soldiers do Spice, which is very dangerous, and you're making them consume more alcohol, which is very dangerous. So this is, and I've seen this, I've seen so many soldiers go the wrong way. So many soldiers have killed themselves, hung themselves in their barracks, drowning in alcohol, when there was a safer alternative that's not only safer, but it saves lives. We're here to save lives. We're not here just to get stoned. We are here because cannabis saves lives. So please, I urge you to stand with us when Jimmy Anderson reads his speech in front of ASU loud and proud, and give support for Dr. Sue Sisley's research and help us push this reform in Arizona. Thank you.